going to go ahead and get into the show and introduce my guest, who is a stand-up comedian here in Los Angeles, and he writes and performs. He has a special out on YouTube called Pound for Pound. It's actually really, really great, and I really enjoyed it, which is why I brought him on here, and I'm super excited to introduce my dope comedian guest to you, Danny Sellers.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, I really enjoyed your special.
Thank
Pound
you.
For Pound. It was really great.
Thank you.
The intro reminded me of Donnie Darko.
I haven't seen that.
No.
What is that?
Oh man, it's a old movie. Came out with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay, I need to check it out. Maybe I stole the idea. I'm sorry. Jake. Sorry, Jake.
I think we all steal everyone's idea, right? But it's like he's talking to himself.
Okay.
Something like
yeah.
Or we think it's weird. You have to watch it.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
But I thought maybe that was like a play on Donnie Darko.
And what is it called? Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko.
All right.
It's probably one of the first movies that Jake Gyllenhaal did.
Okay.
But I recommend checking it out. I'm a little OCD about the sound here, so just
go ahead.
But yeah, if you could talk about that, the scene. So the opening scene, can I describe the scene?
Go ahead, yeah.
So the opening scene is you're in a desert, and I would love to know where the desert is. He's in a desert, and he's dancing. I don't know. It's kind of like he's in a suit, and I'm not totally sure what's going on. And then we cut to him Denny's in your room, or
well, I'll tell you where it was, but like in the living room.
In a living room. And then he hears something, and then you go into another room, and then you see yourself. Yeah. Okay, so tell us what's happening here when you see yourself.
Yeah, so when you walk into the room, I'm essentially on a vacation. That's the setting that I'm creating. So we actually shot it in Joshua Tree. Okay. And I'm on a vacation, and I'm kind of sitting here trying to relax from the day, decompress from the day. I hear a voice, and it's saying my name, Danny, very faint, Danny. And then I walk into the back room, and I see myself. And essentially what I'm seeing is a heightened version of myself, like maybe all the bad qualities of myself that I don't want to maybe acknowledge or whatever. So like your conscience essentially is like the last kind of line. I'm your conscience. So it's like we all have that good and bad on our shoulder or whatever. And I think every day we have to wake up and make the decision to be like a good person, to be honest. Some are better than others at that, I think. We're all like unperfected people or sinful, whatever you want to call it, if you're religious or whatever. So like we all have to make a decision to be good. So anyways, I'm seeing myself in the room. We're going back and forth in the comedic kind of back and forth of like, I saw I've always been here. I saw when you didn't know how to do the electric slide or, whatever the little funny jokes. Yeah. The idea just came of like, what's the scariest thing to me? And it's not necessarily like some crazy monster or this, whatever, a robber. It's like yourself. Your own. Because you know yourself more than anybody,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why it was so relatable to me. I was like, because I definitely picked up on that. Like, this is my conscience or your conscience. Yeah. And with just the energy that you had, like the duality of like you being you playing yourself, and then the consciousness that we're seeing, and how he was kind of like the energy was chaotic. Like,
for sure. Yeah.
But it's like, that's how my inner voice feels. So, yeah. And the color was cool too. The coloring, the lighting that you guys had.
Thank you. Yeah. Literally we shot that in a day in Joshua Tree. All the outro scenes, that scene was all done from maybe lunchtime to like midnight in one day in Joshua Tree. Yeah.
Did you do pre-production for it?
Yeah, kind of. So we had like location scouted. So this is another, I want to draw it out, but my homegirl has a spot out a little bit past Joshua Tree, like is it 29 Palms or whatever? It's like a couple X's past Joshua Tree. And we were trying to shoot in her house for the interiors too. The exteriors were mainly at her house, like the opening kind of scene. And then, but like the construction was delayed. So we had to go actually shoot in my Airbnb that I rented for the day. Hopefully.
So it wasn't Airbnb. You said that. Okay.
Exactly. So we were in my real Airbnb. So, kind of had like guerrilla style. Like, I hope we didn't get caught shooting in the Airbnb. And so we shot it all in a day. And then my boy Jeremy Bimbo directed and shot it with me. And I wrote it out, and kind of we had the hard thing was, playing yourself. You have to like have a conversation with yourself. So like, you shoot one with me in the suit, and then shoot another couple takes with me not in the suit. But I got to remember what I said to myself for it to make sense.
Did you? Yes. How do you? Because I've seen different shows like that where actors are playing different versions of themselves, and it looks really hard. So how do you get into that? How do you be yourself and then go into being, that version?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did the conscious, the dude in the suit first, because that was the most energy, and that was like the most draining, and that was just chaotic. And so I wanted that to be the baseline. So then I knew how I played. So when I was really Danny, I could like play down from that versus going as me and then like trying to uptick me or up funny me, because the star of the show was actually the me in the suit acting kind of crazy and sporadic, and all the ad libs I wanted to be able to go off of that versus vice versa.
So you like improvised it, or
some of it? Yeah. Okay. So I knew like the gist of what I wanted to say, like the funny beats I wanted to make, and then of course it was improvisation, because no one was asking for me to make it, so I knew like, I wrote the line. So if I didn't like a line more in that moment or liked it more in that moment, I could just
change it.
Yeah,
that's the great thing about doing your own stuff. You can literally do whatever you
want. Facts.
Yeah. I've been watching the old Bob Ross video, The Painter.
Yeah.
And that's all he talks about, like build your own world, whatever you want, however many clouds you want, however little clouds you want. Mm-hmm. If there's nothing wrong, there's no mistakes.
Yeah, so I just directed a Friend special this past week, and that was like some of the most consistent advice I gave him was like, at this point in our career where no one's necessarily asking us to make stuff, but we can make stuff because we're taking initiative, do what feels right. If it's 45 minutes or 35 minutes or an hour, it doesn't matter, as long as you feel the best about the time you're doing. There's
something connecting for me right now, because right before you came, I was listening to a song. I think I posted it on IG, on my story. It's called Damned If You Do, Damned If You Don't. And it's like, no matter what you do, people are going to argue with you. People are going to disagree with you.
Right.
Don't matter if you're fat. Don't matter if you're skinny. It don't matter if you're different. People are going to do whatever they are going to do to you, regardless of if you do it or not. Facts, so just do it.
Yeah.
If you haven't been living your life up until this point, why? Because it's just going to, people, like whatever's happening now is going to keep happening.
100%.
Just do your thing. So that's like a funny cycle that keeps popping up. I'll share the song with you afterwards. But it's a good song. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Let's get high.
Okay. I'm gonna just smoke. I have a little like a cough.
You have your own. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. No
problem. I'm a baby smoker. If anyone watches this, I'm not a crazy smoker, so I'm not gonna act like I'm Snoop Dogg.
You're not Snoop Dogg?
No, not yet.
There's only one Snoop Dogg.
That is true. Yeah.
Only one. He went. Well, I guess I went to his high school. Technically.
Yeah. I think post Snoop is considered his.
Yeah. I don't know what year. I think he graduated like in the 90s or something. But Long Beach Poly. I'm from.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I would love to smoke with Snoop.
Yeah, that seems like a crazy experience.
Has anyone else? Okay, who would be a great? So Snoop, Cheech and Chong. What would be like a great?
Ooh, for me, I would like to smoke with Obama.
Ooh.
Obama would be like a night on the beach. Obama just kind of chilling with Obama. That'd be pretty fire.
Chilling on the beach. With Obama. Who would I want to smoke with? Dave Chappelle.
Ooh, okay.
Dave Chappelle. I want to get Dave. Dave, if by any chance you might be looking at this show, come join us. Okay, I'm gonna take a hit then. This is a birthday bong that I bought. Okay. It's got all these cool things that's supposed to make it less hot.
Oh, it cools it down?
So yeah, it cools it down. These little coils cools it down. The water obviously cools it down. So it's like each coil cools it down even more to the point where it's not supposed to burn.
Oh shit, okay.
So that's why I got it, because I don't like the burn.
I know I'm not a real smoker because I don't have like any equipment.
There it goes. I love the hot twirls.
It looks cool.
It looks cool. Well, if you choose, there it is. So you just started smoking, you said?
About a year ago, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you get into it?
I mean, so roundabout way. I went through a divorce. I was married, went through a divorce a year ago or so, and I I never had a crazy issue with like drinking or my drinking at all, but I felt like I was drinking a lot. And for me, you talk to people that really drink, what I was doing was not a crazy amount, but I was finding myself getting in a ritual of drinking almost pretty much every day, like 8 drink a day. Like if I'm just at the house watching a movie in the night, I'm having like a beer or a glass of tequila or whatever. So it's become like ritualistic that I needed to drink something to like shut off my day or shut off my brain or whatever. And just like physically, I was like, I feel like I'm just have a layer of fat on me or just like physical shit on me because I'm just having a drink or a beer like almost pretty much every single day. And and liquor is kind of like a depressant in a way, like so even if you have say 10 drinks in a week or 8 drinks in a week and you'd have whatever, it just felt like it wasn't necessarily making me more creative or happier. It was just it felt like I was kind of putting myself down in a way. So I was like, all right, finally, I'm also very stressed out going through divorce. I'm like, my expenses doubled and my earnings weren't what they needed to be for me to, survive essentially. So I was like, either I'm gonna keep drinking more and there's gonna be a problem, or I kind of needed to do other stuff. So I like tried like the CBD pens. I was like scared. So I was like, I'm 30 at this point. So I'm like, let me try some like CBD pens. And I was like, this is fucking pointless. Like, this is not, I don't feel the effect of this at all. And then I was doing, it was some brand. It was like CBD and weed, but it was like a 1-to-1 kind of thing. And that still wasn't working. So then I started like trying edibles and then like vape pens and stuff like that. When you say
not working, what do you mean? Like you didn't feel it? Or?
I just didn't feel it. Okay. I didn't feel like a real sense of like relief or high or whatever. I just didn't feel it.
Nothing. Yeah,
it wasn't effectively a game changer in any kind of way at all. Okay. So then I tried like 3-4 different things, different gummies and some different vape pens, and then I finally found like a mix of like vapes and or gummies that kind of work to like shut my brain, not shut my brain off, but relax a little bit and still be able to be productive and kind of go about life the way I want to go about life.
What did you find help? Did you pick a specific brand or strain?
I think I'm a hybrid person, to be honest. Yeah. I've taken like sativa gummies to go, like, before I went out, and I was like, this is kind of a lot. Like I'm kind of overly stimulated. And an indica, also, every once in a while I'll take that kind of, for sleep or whatever, like those kind of situations. But I don't have a crazy brand. Like I said, I'm kind of so like basic in it that I have my little packs thing, and I'll go and get a little hybrid joint and be good for like a month easily.
A month?
Yeah, low key.
Yeah, for me it's like 2 weeks. I usually smoke flower for the show. Okay. And then I have a vape as well. Yeah. I have 2 vapes, but I have my main one. Oh, it's the red thing over there. Okay, the tiny red thing. That's what I mostly use, but like maybe 2 weeks. Okay. Probably every 2 weeks. With this, maybe the flower, maybe a month. Flower goes longer for me for a month. But do you have it? So you said your CBD, your edible you were overstimulated. Yeah. Do you have a fucked up edible story? Oh yeah. I have a couple. One crazy one. So this is when I first started. My sister and brother-in-law, they smoke, and they so they have, I think, maybe a business or have invested in previous, or have friends that work in cannabis. So that's nice. They had came in town, and they had leftover like groceries and stuff like that. And then they also had this like little 100 milligram lemonade thing that my brother-in-law left. And so I'm just like, at this point I'm just starting to smoke. So I'm like, yeah, keep it, I'll drink it at some point. But I'm like, this is right when I'm trying to find a thing that's going to actually get me high, because I'm not getting like, I don't know if I wasn't inhaling right at first, probably. My dosages were small, whatever. I don't know. Maybe my brain was just not trying to get high. So one night I'm like, all right, I'm struggling to find something that's going to get me high. I'm going to take a sip of this little drink and figure it out. So I know I'm not going to finish the drink, but I'm going to just go step by step by step. So I take, a couple sips. It's 100 milligrams, by the way. Take a couple sips and then, wait like 10 minutes. I don't feel nothing. Mind you, my brain is still in alcohol timeline, which is like pretty
yeah, it's pretty instant. So I'm like, all right, but I'm still waiting like 10-15 minutes. I don't feel it. take another sip, a shot. I don't feel it. And so then I'm like, after the third sip of like 10, 15 minute increments, now I'm starting to feel it. But I'm like, all right, if I take a little bit more, I'm gonna feel it. But like, it's all delayed. Like, that when I first started getting high was probably from that first sip I took 20 minutes ago. So I'm like, I drink probably half of it and it's starting to hit me. It's probably been 30 minutes since I drank it and it's hitting me harder and harder and harder. Luckily, I'm
literally rolling. Like, yes. Literally rolling, yeah.
Luckily, I'm at the crib. So I'm like, it's to a point where I'm like, I need to brush my teeth and get in bed. So I'm like trying to reach for my toothbrush like it's a heavy, dumbbell. I'm like, I'm smacked, I feel like fucking Bobby Brown. Like, I'm smacked right now. And like, I'm walking slow to my bed. Like, I was high as like James Brown high. It was crazy. And so I set up this scenario where I was at home. It was late, so I wasn't out and about. But by far, in my year and a half of smoking, the highest I've ever been in my life. Like, I was just in bed like, yo, this is crazy. Like, almost panicking. I didn't. Yeah, like I didn't panic, but I felt close to being like, yo, I could easily start panicking right now if I needed to.
Yeah, you can with edibles for sure. That's funny. Yeah, I think we all do. That's why I asked you. Anytime someone mentions edible, like, do you have a story?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yours was a drink. I haven't gotten messed up on a drink edible or yeah.
Yeah, it messes with you because you think of it as like a beer, or alcohol. So it's like if you don't feel it, it's like, oh, but you really kind of just have to know how much is in it and decide from there and just wait for it to affect you.
What
versus
you can take.
Yeah.
Have you had it since then? Again?
No. Hell no. I think I just when I had it, it still took me like a couple of weeks to finish it because after I knew what it was capable of, then I was like, all right, I would wait a day, like, all right, let me have a sip, and then I'll just wait it out a half hour, 20 minutes, whatever, before it actually kick in. But that was a learning lesson, 100%.
Definitely learned. I learned my lesson as well. Although you set yourself up you did it at home, you said, and that was on purpose. You were like, I'm gonna make sure. Yeah, that's good. I did that when I had shrooms. I made sure I was at home. But with my fucked up edible story, I ended up taking the train.
Oh my God.
Bad idea.
Loud noises and the strangers. That's crazy.
It was like I thought I was. I could see that I was still on the train, but also I kept having flashes of being in a jungle and people were animals that were about to.
That's crazy.
Like I was the prey and they were like hiding in a bush. I was like, man, what the hell? I didn't know that it was the edibles at that point. Or that I should just get off and go home, but I just kept going where I was going, and yeah.
That's hectic. I haven't done the shrooms thing. I feel like everyone's on the shrooms wave, and I'll probably do it eventually, but I feel like for just starting to smoke weed, let me ease into weed first.
Yeah.
And I can't go from like weed to shrooms within like a calendar year. It's a lot.
Why not? You can microdose shrooms. You could just start with smaller portions of it, or they have powders.
Yeah. I probably will eventually.
Yeah.
But
it's helpful. I think they're doing studies on it too to like get it actually legalized.
Yeah.
Which would be really great because when I did shrooms, the whole experience it's a whole experience. But afterwards, there's this high that I can hold on to that helps me just throughout.
Yeah.
The week until other stuff messes me up, and then I'm like, oh, now I lost my shroom high.
Gotcha.
But it just it takes like a few days or weeks for all life to fuck it up, but it does help for a certain amount of time. I found the same thing with Molly too. There's like a period where I feel okay, like there's the weight has been lifted, or like the world isn't against me, and the world actually loves me, and I can get things done in a positive way. But yeah, after a certain amount of time, and then just after so many life stuff, it just chips away and chips away.
That makes sense.
I definitely recommend shrooms, but microdose. If you sound like you're very particular about your settings.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like a bad movie will fuck my mood up. Like a sad movie, I'm like, I can't so I get affected by that easily. That kind of stuff. Are
you sensitive?
Yes and no. In certain things, yes. In other ways, not at all.
So like, in what way?
Like certain ways, if I just don't, I kind of get over things fast to a degree. So like if the vibe is wrong with a relationship with somebody, then it's like whatever. I'm not really tripping off that at all. But like, yeah, the way I feel about a scenario or a living situation or, you know, just wanting to be able to come and go as I please, I'm like super sensitive to stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just never want to like overdo it with anything. So, you know, a lot of us have like addiction in our family, whatever. So just like, I just try to like roll into shit with life really in general. You know, I'm not like a workout freak. I work out, but I'm not like a workout freak. I like the cars, but I don't have a Lamborghini. Like nothing that I do, I try to like be overly obsessive.
Yeah.
I kind of try to obsess over like my lifestyle that I want versus like one thing. Like, you know, I can find myself hyper fixating on like specific shit sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so when you smoke, so you've been smoking for a year, you said?
Yeah, a little over a year.
A year. Uh-huh. When you smoke, how does that get you through all your daytime?
Yeah, it really depends on what the day and what's going on. So like for me, every once in a while, I smoke rarely during the day. Sometimes I will if I know I'm like maybe not gonna have to speak too detailed about something or, you know, whatever. Like I don't have a corporate job anymore, so like I'm rarely in those scenarios where I have to like talk proper and be, you know, the guy or whatever. But if I'm like on set, 'cause I produce podcast stuff too, and like, you know, direct sometimes. So if it's like a very meticulous thing, then I might wait until after the hard part's done, then I'll smoke whatever. But smoking kind of is more of a functional. It is more of a functional thing than drinking is. Like I'm not going to drink before I go into a studio to produce something or, you know, whatever. But like a little bit of weed kind of helps mellow me out, but like stay focused so that I'm not overly anxious about these chords not being where they need to be, or is this person going to show up on time? You know, like the kind of worrisome stuff that kind of happens. It helps be more of a functional kind of buzz.
Yeah. Do you have like certain, because like with flower and with my vape, I can take hits and get exactly what you just described, or hits that are just put me on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a certain level of tolerance?
Yeah, I mean, my tolerance, I feel like I'm a bigger person, so maybe my tolerance is higher by default, but it is pretty like baseline. Like I said, a pack will easily last me a month, if not 5-6 weeks, to be totally honest with you.
That's really good.
Yeah. So like
save money.
Yeah. So like I really might only, you know, take, if I'm pre-gaming or something or about to do something, a hit or two before going to the store or like before going to a studio. Like nothing, just a little bit of a buzz. I don't really need to be or want to be like high.
Yeah.
Per se, unless I'm like about to really be in the vibe or I'm at home talking to like a shorty or something, or we're just chilling at the crib, and like sure.
Yeah. Do you feel like when I get high, I don't particularly feel like drinking at all? Mm-hmm. And it didn't sound like you drink that. One beer at night or one. I mean, like
on average, maybe I probably was like when I was at most 10 to 12 drinks a week. So you know, maybe one a night. Or maybe you take an off night, but you have 3 drinks one night. You know, it balanced out to maybe 8 to 12 probably drinks a week. So not a crazy amount.
Does weed help you like get? So I don't feel like drinking at all when I.
Yeah, I drink way less now. Yeah, because you know you're not in a routine of one thing. So like sometimes I'll just forget that I haven't necessarily drunk anything that day. Like, I guess I don't really need it. I'm chilling. You know.
Good.
And you know it just diversifies a little bit.
I love weed. Weed is great. For those specific reasons.
Yeah.
How are we doing over there? I wanted to talk more about your special, pound for pound. Pound for pound. So what does that mean, pound for pound?
So, you know, I went through a big life change, and I felt like I was throwing myself into my work post, you know, being married, and I wanted to do something to make something that kind of caught me up to speed of where I feel like I should be in my career of like displaying things, what I can do creatively. Because before that point, people have kind of really only seen me with like random stand-up clips. I've been doing stand-up at that time for about 4 years. They'd only seen little snippets of stuff here and there, but nothing crazy. And I went to school for like marketing and played football in college. So I didn't act. I wasn't in the school plays. I had no performance experience. Yeah, at all, ever. So I wanted to, or writing. I wrote my first pilot during the pandemic. So I was not like a super creative person. I always was, but I suppressed it essentially. It's like I was like, I had a corporate job, sales manager type shit. So anyways, Pound for Pound was my first chance to show people all the things I can do and how pound for pound, I feel like I'm just as good as anybody walking the earth, to be honest. So it was like a braggadocious kind of title for it. And that's why the intro was as long and drawn out as it was, because I wanted in one little body of work to show that I can write, that I can act a little bit, that I can, direct and creatively direct my own shit, and also be a really good stand-up. So Pound for Pound really just means pound for pound, Danny can do all of this shit. And this is his first kind of entrance into the world.
I did, when I watched it, I was like, this is a great demo reel. Not even just like because when I watched it, I was like, wait a minute, is it a stand-up or is it a series?
Yeah.
But then you went into the stand-up comedy. But yeah, I was like, okay, he's really good at acting. He's showing like, and it was really good. Just switching the person. I love spy stuff, and that's what spies do. They switch characters. So that's why I was like really into that. So you worked in marketing before doing comedy?
Sales. I majored in marketing in college, in business marketing. Then I was in sales the first 8 years of my career as an adult.
And then, okay, so how did you said you suppressed the artistic part of you.
Yeah.
So throughout your life, when was the art part coming up?
Like growing up, I have siblings. I have a relatively big family, 3 other siblings that I grew up with. And my dad even has a couple other kids that are my siblings that they weren't in the house, but they're my siblings. So I always had different personalities and kids around me as my siblings. But I was always the athlete kind of kid. So I always played football. But for some reason, because I guess I was a creative, when I look back and like reflected on my life these past couple of years, I always was a kid that was asking for a paint set still. Aww. I always would get I would always have these little like notebooks and paint sets and stuff that I would get for Christmas. Because I still was a creative kid. I was always drawing and stuff still too. And at that time, maybe it's just the 90s kids in us is like, there wasn't that same duality. I feel like now there is. Like you were a jock kid back then, or you were in plays and shit. Like I feel like now with kids have access to social media and stuff that they kind of can be more balanced.
Yeah.
But like back then it was like if you were the sports kid, you're the sports kid. If you were the theater kid, you're the theater kid. If you're the nerd, you're the nerd. And like those groups were very different. They didn't really intersect that much. So I always knew I was creative in that way. And then, but when I got to college, I think I was so worried about doing the right thing and making money because we moved around a lot, like I told you, as a kid, and a lot of that was financial hardships and ups and downs. So I've seen the whole spectrum of doing really well and doing really, really bad as a kid. Mm-hmm. And so I was so hyper focused on not being the dude that's sleeping on my mama's couch and like fucked up that I was like, I want to get a bag and get money. And so much so that when I was done playing football, I went to the guidance counselor for the first time. All right, like I need to get a job, whatever. So I'm in the business school, and she's like, so what do you not want to do? We can start from there. And I'm like, well, I know I don't want to like do anything boring, like sell insurance. And so, yeah, but the fucked up thing about it is from that moment on to the next couple months, my brain got so wired to like I gotta overly produce that my first job was selling insurance.
Dang.
Like literally
the exact thing that you did not
exactly because I was just so like, well, at least I can wear a suit and look professional and boom, 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 and like I can kind of control my day. So like I already at that point at 21 years old was justifying the bullshit to try to like assimilate into what was successful. You know,
what put that in your mind? Was it like I know because like family, my family, I could see that happening with family stuff too. But
yeah, I mean, at that point, I had been, like I said, we had ups and downs, and we're like in not a great spot. So one was like I want to be able to help my family, but also I went to school on a scholarship, so like I lived pretty great for these 4 years, and I'm like I don't want to go back to being fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm in North Carolina, so things are already cheaper, so you can live good relatively easily. I'm like if I can make 35, 40 grand, I'm chilling. Like I can pay my bills. I'm chilling. I'm not really worried. Easily at that point too in North Carolina. So I'm like already making myself smaller at that point just to get on to the next thing, you know.
Yeah, to live the traditional regular
life.
Yeah, chasing I'm in that life, that's stage. It's like come in and out of it, but it's hard to not focus on, like, we live in a world where we have to pay bills. We have to. We can't, like, I mean, I guess you could not own anything or not pay, but then what are you going to do? Just live in a van or something?
Yeah, especially in LA, it's tough. You know, it's tough.
What was I going to say? You brought up, this is what the weed does. That's what it does. It's the short-term memory. That's what the
It was something about, I forget what I was talking about. I was saying something about my insurance job.
Yeah. So you go from insurance. What you majored in marketing in college?
Yeah.
And then did you do any art at all in college?
So funny enough, I'm in a fraternity, and so me and my fraternity brothers would make promo videos for our parties. So this is like when YouTube was, 2010 through 14 when I graduated. So like,
are these on YouTube?
Yeah. If you look up Sigma Delta Alphas or Siggy D Alphas, then Uncle Leroy. So I created this character called Uncle Leroy. So we had a step competition, and then I did this character for the step competition, and then we just brought them on to like different promos. So it would be me like in a little old man cardigan and beard that I got, like cheap ass beard, and like khakis and like white socks. It was an old fraternity brother essentially, and we would do these promo videos, and we would write them up, we'd shoot them, we go to different locations, and we'd go. My line brother was in the communications department, so we like go into the they had like these editing bays that students could use, and we would just rent a camera from the thing and come back and edit it like on GarageBand or iMovie, whatever, just very basic. And we probably put out 4 or 5 of those, but they would like go like not viral, but like, get 1,000 views or 2,000 views. So there was like, for us, before viral was a real thing, like from an algorithm standpoint, it was 1,000 people watch this shit, like it's lit. So I was doing those things in college, but once again, I think by the time life became a reality, I was like, all right, that was my past. This is what I did, and let's grow up now.
Yeah. No, don't grow up.
Yeah, exactly.
So got a job doing insurance.
Yeah.
Major in marketing, got a job doing insurance. For how long?
So that first job was like 3 years, and then I moved to San Francisco for a year to work in sales. That was my first like hardcore tech sales job.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was 24, I think. Yeah.
And how did you what was a breaking point, I guess? When did you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm ready to actually be me?
Yeah, I mean, so the thing was that the epiphanies were happening in real time in all these steps. Like, all right, this insurance thing wasn't it. And I was in North Carolina, so I was like, this is kind of boring. I want to move to a big city. I want to move to New York, LA, or San Francisco. That was like the 3 places I was applying for jobs when I was in Charlotte. And I got a job in San Francisco. Never been to San Francisco before. I had been to LA once. I'd never been to New York at that time either. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take it. Like, for a good company, they hired me. And it was good, decent bread, so I took it. And even like 6 months into that, I was like, this is not it. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't care about this meaningless stuff. This is not like a career for me. This is like just a job. Even if it is paying me decent, this is like a job. So then I met my ex, and she was in Chicago, or going to school in Chicago. So I moved to Chicago and like took like 2-3 months off once I left without a job. So I had some money saved up, and then I was like, let me really spend time to try to find a job that I kind of want. But once again, like the reality of life, and like, honestly moving in with another adult too early and trying to assume the responsibilities at 24.
Yeah, you're in your 20s? Wow, yeah. You're 24.
25,
And this is in Chicago. You went from...
Now, yeah, exactly.
You're now in Chicago. Okay.
North Carolina, San Francisco for a year. Now I'm in Chicago now, looking for jobs. And I get a job doing, once again, making more money than I made. So I'm like, oh, I'm making good money. I'm 24, 25. Like, I'm thinking this is going to solve all of the saltiness that I feel about going to work. I'm like, if I can pay my bills, save money, throw my mom some bread, like buy shoes, go to vacation, like why not? At this age, why not? My friends are in grad school, or they're, working their way up. So I'm like, I'm making just as much or more money than all my friends. Like, I'm chilling. And I was not a great student. So I'm like, I'm winning, And I hate that job, but I'm really good at it too. That's the problem. So like, I'm getting promotions like every 9 to 12 months. I'm getting like manager promotions. I'm moving along. So I'm like, I'm really good at the job, making more money than I need. I'm in Chicago, which is not that expensive of a city, especially, 7-8 years ago. But I'm still like miserable. So then I start, this is like around 2018, 19. I'm like, all right, this really sucks. I'm getting like panic attacks. This is trash. I was already podcasting with my 2 line brothers at the time. It was called the 9 to 5 podcast. So it literally was called 9 to 5 podcast, a podcast about work, life, and balancing it all. So it was this 3 young black people. It was me that was in a relationship, married. My other homeboy was queer. Then another dude who was my other boy was in and out of relationships, whatever. So we all kind of had different backgrounds, so to speak, and different perspectives, even though we were all dudes, black dudes. So that was like my first kind of creative.
Was it on Apple Podcasts?
I
wonder if I listened. What you described sounds very familiar.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, that's really cool, actually.
Yeah. I mean, so it was literally us 3. It wasn't big, but it was, whatever. We had maybe get a couple thousand listens a month. So that was my first kind of. Well, that was my second. The first was I had a blog. This is like 2014 when everybody had a blog. It was called the Sellers Group, and it was like me and like a group of like 10 people would just like write blogs about, simple. Sometimes it'd be simple stuff like how to catch the bus in a big city, just like stuff that you didn't know as kids going to school in the South, or it'd be like essays when people were talking about finding themselves sexually or voting or whatever, just like it was
really helpful stuff.
Yeah, it was like all the stuff that legitimately I was curating, but also learning from, like voting. This is around Trump stuff, so we're talking about like voting and redlining and terms that I just didn't know. So it was the Sellers Group, and then the Sellers Group bled into the podcast. So I'm building my career, but this whole time I'm like doing creative stuff that it's not necessarily making me money at all, but I'm like learning how to be creative outside of work, more or less.
There's still this duality that you have this theme of duality happening.
Yeah.
What month is your birthday?
June is this month.
June, really? Okay.
June 25th.
I was going to ask if you because my birthday is the month of duality, or it's a Pisces with a fish thing. So I was wondering. But you mentioned. I just want to go back a few.
Yeah.
During all this time, you said you were having panic attacks. Like what was causing the panic attacks? Yeah,
I mean, I come from people. My grandparents, none of them really had corporate jobs, and I was telling my cousin this, and it sounds psychotic, but we're like a dog per se. Like certain breeds of dogs can't do certain things, and we're all animals. That's the thing at the end of the day. So it's like one of my granddaddy was, one of them were the builder, carpenter, and the other one was a preacher. And owned real estate a little bit. And my one grandmother was a nurse, and she opened up clinics and shit. And then my other grandmother was a homemaker, curator, worked in nonprofits. Like none of these people worked at the plant for 40 years every day and retired. These people were creative people. That my grandmother, who was a homemaker and had different careers, was a beautiful singer. She was active like in the jazz community in Cincinnati. So she was a creative person, liked art. And my parents similarly, like they're not career people. So like me trying to force myself into this lane of, I'm going to the same job every day. I'm sitting at my desk. I can't necessarily come and go as I please. Like that was giving me anxiety because I'm a very creative, nomadic kind of person. I moved around a lot as a kid, so maybe that also affected just my need to not be stuck in one place. Yeah. So it was a lot of that, and it was the fact that I didn't believe in what I was even doing and selling. I didn't feel passionate about it. Like I wanted to do things that I feel like made an impact on the world, even if it is just making people laugh or creating art. And like selling software is the most debilitating, soulless thing you could do because it's not a need for anybody,
Yeah.
It's not even really helping people that much,
Software?
Yeah, like the software, like a lot of this software sales is kind of just like I'll try to summarize it in a quick way. Like a lot of times it's technology that's solving a problem from technology. So you might have like they call like CRM that like keeps track of people's contact information, whatever. And then that thing becomes big and big and big to where there might be another software that like simplifies it and like allows you to email people faster. Then there's another software that like manages the email. Like, it's just like you're making fake problems to solve a problem, and then you're taught to pretty much berate people into buying it, and these people are also just trying to do their job too. So you become like a nuisance to people, and like in sales, you are a nuisance. You have to get through so many no's to get to a yes, and I think anytime you're waking up knowing that you're going to be relatively a nuisance to people, unless you're just like super narcissistic, it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
You're knocking on doors and everyone's telling you to fuck off. After a while, you're going to be like, damn, like, why am I doing this? Yeah. Versus if I'm on stage, if I have a good set, people are excited to see me. People are relatively coming out trying to have a good time. Yeah. And that's a totally 180 than what the life that I was living before.
Yeah. Yeah. So then when did you get to that point when you quit and you're like, comedy?
Yeah, so I started doing comedy 2019. I was like, once again, like,
so new. You're still really good though.
Oh, thank you.
That's crazy. Okay, go ahead.
So literally I was a sales manager making good bread. I was chilling, but I was like, I gotta finally start stand-up comedy. I'm 26 at the time, about to turn 27. And so I'll take a class at Second City just to get around creativity. I'm like, I want to go to a good place that's known for comedy, and at least I can meet a community here of people in Chicago that are like legit. I don't want to take some random class with some random dude that, whatever. Like I want to go to like an institution. So
this is the Second City in Chicago?
Yep, in Chicago.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I took a class there. And then essentially it was in the writing department. So people shit on classes because it's like, how can you teach comedy? It was pretty much an open mic. Like you would go, and each week there was like a curriculum, like we're going to do one-liners or we're going to do storytelling. So you had to come with your jokes, and you would do at least 1 or 2 sets every class. So it was legitimately comparable to like a good open mic here in LA. So then I did that, and then I started going to mics like 3 weeks into the 8-week class, started going to mics in real life. And the first mic I went to was a spot called Cole's in Chicago, which is like it's a big like ordeal kind of institution. And so yeah, as I started going at the mic in the class and like never stopped from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. And you were doing all this. Was your wife a part of all this process too?
No. So like that was the thing. I mean, that's ultimately why it kind of didn't work out, because like when we met, I'm like, this dude also went to a private school, had a kind of a good decent gig going, and at that point I'm starting to pivot into a different career. Oh. I'm getting in more into starting stand up. So now I'm going from somebody that's home from 5:36 till the rest of the night to like 1 or 2 nights a week. I'm out till midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the pandemic hits and I get laid off from my super cush chill job. So I'm like, but it's the pandemic. I'm already making more money than I need. So I'm like, low-key, I'm chilling. Like, and this was unemployment checks are coming and we got severance. So I took that whole summer 2020 off. I'm like, I'm not looking for a job. I'm already kind of unable to decompress from this job. And I get another job that's based out here that September, but it's at a podcast network. And it's doing like biz dev, like acquiring shows for the network. So it's like sales, but it's comedy adjacent and it's creator adjacent.
Yeah.
So that's the first time. That's the first job ever that's like using my sales, but also working in entertainment, so to speak. And that was like my first foot into, being a full-time creative. Summer to whatever, fall of 2020.
2020, yeah, here.
Yeah.
When you, I love this whole story of you splitting it, like you just have like the two sides of you. Can we go back to, I'm trying to follow your story, going back to, you said you met your wife in marketing, or?
So we met at a party, a homecoming party, whatever the year that was, 2015, 2016, something like that. So she graduated and went to grad school in Chicago. So that's what brought me to Chicago, she was in grad school. Okay.
And she wasn't okay. So you guys separated because of the issue of you performing and changing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a lot. It was some of that. It was at that point too, when we, I go from making good money, 6-figure money, to I'm taking less as the things progress. I'm taking less and less jobs that aren't a fit, so that I can keep progressing creatively, so that money kind of went down, even to a point where it was still break even. But you go from that to like this in like relatively a short time. It was a jarring kind of move. And I've since been able to work my way back up somewhere in the middle now still. But like, you know, at that point I was in my late 20s, you know, when I got married. So it was this constant like, oh, progression. And then all of a sudden it's like, hold on, what the fuck, you know? Yeah. And it was a total lifestyle change too. Like I said, you're going from a regular people that aren't creative. You're at work, you come home, sometimes you work from home, and once you get off work, then you're like living your life. Whereas a lot of creatives are trying to live their life every day, and it might not be the same typical hours as like a non-creative person. Yeah. Like on the weekend, I'm not necessarily like, oh, I can finally start living, you know, because I'm living every day. I'm expressing myself every single day. That. So I'm not like, you know, if someone's not in that same routine as you, or in a position where they're working towards a goal, they're not necessarily like, I don't need a vacation right now because I'm trying to focus on this thing. If you're not on that same kind of wavelength, it's hard for two people to kind of stay together, I think.
When did you guys were together for how long?
Like 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she was with
Married
you.
for 2.5.
Married for 2.5. She was with you when you were normal.
Yeah.
You were regular. And then basically switching to artists, it was just not, the compromise wasn't.
I mean, I think it was I think some people can go through a transition with somebody and be okay with it. They're just locked in on that person. I think some people, the persona and the rubric of what they need from somebody is very specific to what they want and what they need. And, you know, they just aren't willing to diverge from that thing. And I think that's a case of what happened with me. It was just like, yeah, I want just basic, simple life, 3 vacations a year. You can save this amount, buy a house in this amount. And like, that's all I want out of life, more or less. And that's just not me, to be honest.
Yeah. When did you guys decide that it wasn't working?
I mean, we multiple times. Like anyone that's been through a breakup or a divorce, you know, it's not just like one fight that fucking happened. You know, it was multiple forks in the road that probably were signs that we shouldn't have done it, even before we got married or whatever. And then, it was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, the top of 20. We're 24 now, so I think end of 23. Yeah, was when we essentially separated and like we're getting divorced. It's been like a year and a half now. Okay. Yeah, almost 2 years, almost 2 years, year and a half now. So
yeah, I've never been married before, but like, is that hard to be with someone for that long? And then I feel like 7 years is a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then even being married with them, and then you lived together, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like that in itself is a really challenging.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that going through any kind of big life change like that is earth shattering, because it's like, especially when you get married with somebody, when you're in a relationship with somebody, it's kind of like you don't put all your all. You do, but you don't, because you're not like, we're not necessarily married, so we're not planning life together in a way that I'm expecting something of you to like have my back in like the ultimate way. So when you kind of go in with the intention of someone having your back in that way and then they don't, for whatever reason, whether I'm right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's earth shattering in a way that like, and this is the first time I've ever, as a grown ass man, not been like okay financially. So I was literally, it was the perfect storm of scenarios. Like, relationship, expenses now double. I got to find a spot, and then also work as a freelance producer. I was like just kind of getting started, so I'm like trying to find the right gigs that would make sense so I can make my money, and trying to find like an apartment and all this kind of stuff. Was like, I was not prepared, you know. So it was really, that was probably just as much or more of the stress and the heartache. That was like 80% of it. Was just like, I'm not even able to move around like I need to for the first time ever. So that back in my head, going back to like, just get a job is like talking to me every single day, because it's like, you know, you're capable of making the money you need to do kind of what the fuck you want to do if you just go back into your old basic career. And it took just having some savings, luckily, and just being like locked in, and then honestly focusing in on pound for pound helped me feel like a purpose in this is what all of my energy is going towards, is getting this half hour, 45 minutes ready to shoot, and then I produced it myself, put all the bread up myself. So like I'm writing it, I'm location scouting, looking up, rental houses for cameras. Like I'm hiring crew. Like I did everything. I edited it. So I knew like I did all the promo shoots, like everything that is that thing I touched, if not did it myself. So that was like a really good push of, even though I was still fucked up financially, my energy was like, if this goes well, it's going to help. And every single day I just had to, and that's how I ended it. Cause in the pound for pound, if you watch it, I didn't end on like a joke. Like the last thing I say is like not a joke. It's not funny at all, to be honest.
Oh yeah. What'd you say?
So I just said that, if you're watching this, essentially a lot of bad things can go wrong in your life, and you got to take shit day by day, and you have the choice every single day to make that day better or worse, whether it's 100% better or worse or 1% better or worse. And that at the end of the day, nobody can take your creativity. And was the thing that was talking in my head throughout all of this, of like, not to say my ex or somebody was taking away my creativity, but like in general, you can be broken, fucked up, and busted and disgusted. But if you're a creative brain, that currency is something that,
that's a form of currency.
That's a form of currency. Yeah. You can get out of a situation if you're creative. A lot of people need, you might need money to get into real estate, or you might need clippers or whatever to do hair, or space to do podcasts. But if you're a creative person, especially in stand up, where you really can, it's stripped down. You just need your brain and a voice. You can do it. You're a writer. You can a notebook or one little old laptop. You can get it in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what guided me through that time in my life. Of course, weed kind of helps here and there, and all, but truly that kind of mantra helped guide me through the situation of like creatively, I'm in control. And every single day I can choose to create something that's dope that can change my day.
And either way, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this whole change that you made, like this is something you really, really, really want to do, because it pretty much shifted your life in such a dramatic way.
Yeah.
Losing that relationship, that sounds really hard, to end a relationship after 7 years, and then and coming here and then just focusing on that thing that you felt inside of you. I appreciate stories like that, because it's really inspiring. I feel like a lot of the things that you said are so relatable, because I have I moved to New York and did comedy. That's what I did. Yeah. So, I was playing sports when I was a kid too. Yeah, and then I was like, I think I'm an artist instead. Yeah. And, so it's like, it's such a relatable story. And I think it's important that we just keep hustling through it. Yeah. And like you said, no one can take your creativity away. Yeah. It can be hard and challenging, but when you have your brain. Yeah. And you have your voice. Yeah. I even take my guitar and go to the park and play. And sometimes people give me money, and I'm not putting a bucket out there, and people just give me money. But even that is just like nice to do, to just like play for not anything in particular. Yeah. And to get that kind of creativity out. So I just love these stories of like finding yourself and living in it.
Yeah, no, it's important. I think a lot of us with social media, we get caught up in like the gatekeeping of it all, and definitely there is to a crazy extent, movie making or whatever. But there's so much that we can do that we sometimes don't take advantage of, because we're looking like 4 steps ahead. But it's like, to your point, just going out to the park. You could either sit here and do nothing, even if you do 4 times and make $40, whatever, out of those 4 times. It's like, that's what, it adds up to something. It might just be a coffee or whatever, or
some weed money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something, it goes somewhere, and you kind of build off from that point of like, all right, let me make more and more stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start wrapping it up. Let me see if I have any other extra questions. What was? I think this is good. I think your second special is going to be really amazing. Like you producing it, everything the way you did. I don't know. I was really impressed.
Thank you.
This was really good.
Appreciate
it. And then you started doing stand-up in 2019.
Yeah, so it was my 5 years a couple months ago. Yeah.
It's like that's wild. And then you got stand-up special.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna shoot another one this later this summer.
Oh, you ready for another one that quick?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be. I think this is my take. Is that I don't think it needs to be crazy hours every I think the hour comedy special, unless it's really special, there's not a need for, at least for a bunch. And I have this theory that each creative only has like 5 to 7 like magnum opuses they can really make in their lifetime.
Ooh.
Just because, and that's like the max. It's hard. I challenge anyone that's listening, any artist you like, 5 to 7 bodies of work. After that, at most, they might think projects that you liked, but like classic, this is them at the highest level. Yeah. You can only make so much. And I think, and that can be, a stand-up is like a movie or a couple specials or, a TV show they wrote, whatever it is, or artists, whatever, or musician, albums. It might be good albums or even great albums, but like this is track, no skips, or, movies, top to bottom, great movie. This doesn't happen. So anyways, I think these little micro specials, 20 to 30 minutes, you can kind of do those relatively often with a good concept and not like burn a crazy amount of material. And so the next special is, the working title is Lover Boy, and it's about just love. The through line is love, and it's going to be a lot of things that are off of the through line, either close or near, or close or far. But I'm a single person for the first time in a long time, and then even talking about things that I couldn't necessarily talk about when I was in a relationship, because just just the stuff that before you got married as a young person, just living your life, having fun, is not necessarily like things you want to say when you're married. So now it's like being able to tell some of those funny stories from college and a couple years out on stage has been like nice and fun. And the special will be around love, whatever that means. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I'm gonna look out for Lover Boy.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else that you want to plug or?
No, just follow me at Follow Sellers on all social media. Like I said, I'll be shooting that later this summer, hopefully. So look out for that. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Trying to think if I want to add anything else. I don't know. It's a good day. It's a Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. Grocery store. Gonna go hit the grocery store.
Grocery store? What do you buy at the grocery store?
A little bit of everything. I'm a Trader Joe's guy, so I just go, They got a new shrimp scampi, frozen if you like shrimp.
Is it in the hard, is it?
No, it's already like made to.
Oh, it's already cooked?
Yeah, it's seasoned. You just got to put it in the thing and get some noodles, and it's easy. I
get their shrimp. I wonder if it's the same one. But you said it's cooked. I like their shredded beef. They have this shredded beef. Yeah. I just put it in some soup or water or something.
No, Trader Joe's is the one. People sleep on Trader Joe's because you got to know how to shop at Trader Joe's. You can't go into Trader Joe's thinking it's Vons or Ralph's or Kroger, because it's not. But once you know how to lock in, it's the best. It's the best.
I make my own concoctions of weird things.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love Trader Joe's. Well, Danny, I am so happy that you were my first guest back since last year. I've had fun. Whoever's out there, thank you. And thank you for listening. Thank you, universe. Thank you, weed. That's it. Thank you.